if you spent like the last 10 years trying to build the next Facebook or the next Netflix, you're playing the right game. But if you were doing that today, you've already lost.
Yeah, completely lost.
Right. Because for the past decade, if you wanted to measure success in the tech world, it was defined by a single, pretty powerful acronym.
FAANG.
Exactly. FAANG. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. I mean, we all know the legacy there. But today, we are basically tearing up that old map.
We really have to.
Yeah, because if you look at where the world's smartest founders, the operators, and, capital allocators are actually paying attention right now, a massive, almost invisible shift is happening right beneath our feet.
It's totally foundational.
It is. So we're exploring a really fascinating excerpt today titled Beyond FAANG, the New Era of AI Infrastructure.
And okay, let's unpack this, because it feels like just when you and I finally understood the rules of the whole application-driven internet era, the entire economic foundation just shifted to something else entirely.
Yeah.
It's a profound transition, really. And you hit the nail on the head regarding the application layer. I mean, to understand where we're going, we first have to recognize the mechanics of what we are, leaving behind.
Ideal playbook.
Exactly. Those FAANG companies, they defined a very specific era by basically perfecting the art of capturing human attention.
Oh, definitely.
Right. Delivering consumer applications at a massive global scale. They built the software that we look at every single day.
The stuff we're scrolling on right now.
Yeah, exactly. But our source material is signaling a massive rotation of capital and really of brain power. The era of focusing primarily on consumer destinations, it's giving way to a period focused entirely on foundational infrastructure.
I see. So I tend to think about this shift not as building new websites, but rather like that period when telecom companies were laying down those massive underwater fiber optic cables.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. The cables that made the internet possible in the first place.
No.
So FAANG built the websites, but today's titans are, laying the submarine cables of artificial intelligence.
Well, exactly what's happening.
But wait, I have to challenge this premise for just a second.
Sure, go for it.
I'm looking at the list of companies leading this new era in our sources, and aren't Google and Meta still the biggest players in town?
Well, yeah, they're massive.
Right, and we literally just named them in the FAANG acronym a second ago. So why are we saying we're moving beyond them if they're still clearly at the top of the food chain?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is not that those legacy consumer companies are dead, not at all.
Right.
The crucial difference is that their core focus, and specifically where they're directing their massive capital expenditures, has fundamentally shifted.
Okay, how so?
The text highlights that these legacy companies, alongside a whole new class of titans, they're no longer prioritizing the shiny consumer interface. They are pouring the concrete for a totally new economy.
Wow.
Yeah, they're building the underlying compute and intelligence layers.
I get it. So the market cap and the innovation are moving from the application layer, like the app on your phone, down to the actual compute layer.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of just, reading a list of these companies, let's look at the actual technological stack they're building, starting from the physical bedrock and moving up.
That's good.
The source breaks down 6 specific titans. Let's start at the very bottom, which is the hardware. Nvidia is on this list.
Yep, the bedrock.
Now, we all know Nvidia makes chips, but the source says they are powering the entire AI economy. Why are their specific chips the, physical bedrock of this new era?
It comes down to a really fundamental difference in computing architecture. For decades, the tech industry relied heavily on CPUs, central processing units.
Right, the standard computer chip.
Exactly. Think of a CPU like a single, incredibly fast genius, right? Doing complex math problems one at a time, in sequence. But training an artificial intelligence model, it isn't about doing one complex problem. It involves doing millions of relatively simple matrix multiplications all at exactly the same time.
All at once. Okay, so a CPU would bottleneck there.
Totally. And that's where Nvidia comes in, because they specialize in GPUs, graphics processing units.
Right.
A GPU is, it's like having thousands of average math students solving those equations simultaneously, in parallel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that parallel processing capability is the absolute physical requirement for AI.
Right.
Without those specific chips, the software simply cannot function. So they really are the steel and lumber of this new era.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because the next company on this list of infrastructure titans is honestly kind of an anomaly, SpaceX.
Yeah, it throws people off.
Right, because we were talking about silicon chips and artificial intelligence, and suddenly the text throws a literal rocket company into the mix. Why is an aerospace organization grouped with AI hardware manufacturers?
Well, what's fascinating here is the text explicitly forces us to look past those traditional industry labels.
Okay.
It says, what's interesting isn't the acronym, it's what these companies have in common. And what they have in common is a focus on transport and connectivity pathways.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, SpaceX isn't just launching rockets for the sake of, scientific exploration. Through initiatives like their Starlink satellite constellations, they are creating a low Earth orbit infrastructure.
Right, internet from space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the future of AI involves deploying intelligence into, remote sensors, autonomous global supply chains, or industrial robotics worldwide.
They're going to need to talk to each other.
Exactly. Those systems require uninterrupted, high-bandwidth global connectivity. SpaceX is essentially laying the orbital fiber optic cables that the new AI economy will require to actually communicate.
That is such a brilliant way to look at it. They're basically laying the tracks before the train even arrives.
Spot on.
So we have the silicon bedrock with Nvidia, and we've got the orbital transport layer with SpaceX. Let's move one layer up the stack to the architectural layer, the source names Anthropic and OpenAI.
Yes, the heavy hitters in software.
Now, I have to push back again here.
Yeah.
I see OpenAI and Anthropic, and my immediate thought is, ChatGPT and Claude.
Right, the consumer-facing stuff.
Yeah. Aren't they just building super-powered consumer chatbots? How is a chatbot considered infrastructure?
That is, without a doubt, the most common misconception right now.
Okay.
The chatbot interface. It's merely a demo.
Wait, really? A demo?
Yeah, it's just a user-friendly wrapper designed to show off what the underlying engine can actually do. What OpenAI and Anthropic are actually building are foundational reasoning engines, like cognitive APIs.
Cognitive APIs.
Yeah. They're shifting the paradigm from software as a service to intelligence as a service.
Let me see if I am grasping this. Instead of a developer writing thousands of lines of code to tell a computer exactly how to sort data or respond to a user, the developer just plugs into OpenAI's API and says, hey, here's the data, figure out the best way to sort it.
Yes.
So the model does the reasoning itself.
Precisely that. And the source specifically notes that Anthropic is redefining how these models are developed in the first place.
How so?
They are focusing heavily on what's called constitutional AI, meaning they're building deep structural safety guardrails and alignment protocols directly into the foundation of the model.
Oh, I've heard of that. But is that just for, good PR?
No, not at all. It's actually a business necessity. If a Fortune 500 company is going to plug their proprietary data into an AI reasoning engine, they need absolute certainty that the model won't, hallucinate or leak their data.
Right. Or say something crazy to a customer.
Exactly. Anthropic is building the enterprise-grade safety infrastructure that allows cognitive APIs to be trusted at a massive scale.
Wow. Which brings us to the top of the stack, the integration layer. And this is where Meta and Google come back into the picture, but in a totally new way, right? The text says Google is embedding AI into everything, and Meta is building open source AI infrastructure.
Yeah, taking Meta as an example, their strategy is a total masterclass in infrastructure plays.
Tell me about that.
By spending billions developing their Llama AI models and then releasing them as open source, meaning any developer can use them for free, Meta is commoditizing the architectural layer.
Oh, interesting. So they're giving it away.
Exactly. They are ensuring that the entire developer ecosystem builds on their specific framework.
So it's a strategic move to prevent any single competitor, like OpenAI or Google, from creating a closed monopoly on AI models.
You got it. Meanwhile, Google is taking their vast ecosystem, workspace, search, Android, and making AI totally ambient.
Ambient.
Just everywhere.
Right. It will no longer be a discrete tool you go out of your way to use. It will be the invisible engine running quietly in the background of basically every digital interaction you have. Okay, so we have built the stack.
Yep.
Nvidia is the compute bedrock. SpaceX is the global nervous system. Anthropic and OpenAI are the reasoning engines. And Meta and Google are the integration frameworks.
That's the no map.
That is a massive paradigm shift.
Yeah.
But it brings us to the core thesis of our source material, which is really kind of a warning for you listening right now. The text specifically states, the next decade won't belong to the people who consume AI. It will belong to the people who learn how to leverage it, implement it, and create value with it.
That distinction right there between consuming and leveraging that is the pivot point of the entire tech economy right now.
It's a huge shift in mindset.
It really is. Because during the FAANG era, we were heavily conditioned to just be consumers.
Oh, yeah.
You consume a personalized feed on Facebook. You consume a product recommended to you on Amazon. You consume a curated playlist. The whole user experience was designed to be totally passive.
All right, sit back and scroll.
Exactly. But you cannot passively consume infrastructure. I mean, you have to actively utilize it to actually build something else.
It makes me think of like the early days of global electrification.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Imagine the massive physical power grid is just being built across the country. Marveling at that new electrical grid by just watching a light bulb turn on and saying, wow, the room is really bright. Well, that is consuming.
Yeah.
You are just enjoying the output.
Right. You're a user.
But looking at that exact same electrical current, recognizing its real utility, and realizing you can attach a motor to a metal drum, hook it up to a water line, and invent the washing machine. Well, that is leveraging.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
That is taking the raw infrastructural power and creating a mechanism that actually saves human labor.
And this raises an important question. What does it actually mean to create value with this specific AI infrastructure today?
Yeah, what does that look like?
The text is emphasizing extreme urgency here. Recognizing this shift, while the concrete is still wet, so to speak, is where the real asymmetric opportunity lies.
Because it's still so early.
Exactly. If we look at recent history, it is the exact difference between being a passive user of the internet in 1999, maybe sending an email or reading a static web page.
The dial-up days.
Right. Versus looking at those underlying TCP/IP protocols and building a digital storefront or a payment gateway or an entirely new software platform.
Wow.
The people who built the digital washing machines, the ones who built the e-commerce infrastructure, those are the operators who completely define the wealth generation of the subsequent decades.
Okay, I love the philosophical mandate here. Stop staring at the light bulb and start building the washing machine. I get it.
The good mandate.
But let's bring this down to earth for a second. Say you are listening to this right now. You understand the tech stack. You understand you need to leverage it. But if you are a marketing director, a logistics coordinator, or just a startup founder, practically speaking, on a regular Tuesday morning, where do you even start?
That's the million-dollar question.
How do you actually build on top of this? And that is where our source material introduces a really highly practical physical solution. The UgenticAI Summit.
Right. The source presents this summit as sort of the tactical execution of the philosophical shift we've been discussing.
Okay.
It details that this September 15th at the Ritz-Carlton in Virginia, an offline gathering is taking place. They are bringing together over 700 founders, operators, marketers, and business leaders.
So what does this all mean? Because I have to point out the glaring irony here.
The offline part.
Yeah. We're talking about the ultimate digital frontier. Artificial intelligence, decentralized compute layers, and orbital satellite pathways. And the proposed solution for navigating this ultra-digital future is for 700 people to get into their cars and airplanes, travel to Virginia, and sit in a physical room together, completely offline.
It is deeply ironic.
It feels brilliantly counterintuitive.
It does, but it's the ultimate pragmatism, honestly. Because when you are dealing with a technology that is evolving at the speed of software, the highest bandwidth connection available to humans is still face-to-face interaction.
Oh, that's fair. You can't beat being in the room.
Right. And the text explains exactly why this physical gathering is happening. It notes that the purpose of the UgenticAI Summit is decidedly not to talk about where AI is going.
So no crystal ball gazing.
Exactly. There are no theoretical keynotes pontificating about the distant future of, artificial general intelligence. The explicit mandate of the event is to explore how businesses can actually use the current tools to create more capacity, move faster, and build for what is coming next.
Create more capacity. I want to double-click on that phrase for a second because I feel like it strips away all the sci-fi mysticism of AI and turns it into a raw business metric.
It absolutely does.
Like creating capacity means a logistics operator figuring out how to plug their spreadsheet into an Anthropic API.
Right.
And suddenly turning a 40-hour weekly routing task into a 4-hour task.
Yes, that's real capacity.
Or it means a marketing leader using Meta's open source models to analyze a mountain of unstructured consumer feedback in minutes instead of hiring a massive team of analysts to spend weeks on it.
Exactly.
It basically means a founder being able to scale their company's output by 10x without having to triple the size of their physical workforce.
And that is the absolute core of leveraging infrastructure. In a tech landscape completely saturated with hype cycles and all these abstract buzzwords, the operators attending the UgenticAI Summit are cutting right through the noise.
They're focused on the practical stuff.
Totally. They are focusing purely on capacity and speed. Those 700 individuals, they aren't traveling to Virginia to marvel at the technological light bulb. They are gathering in a room to trade blueprints on how to build the appliances that will power the next decade of industry.
Wow.
They are the builders, trying to figure out the actual plumbing of the new economy.
It is the ultimate gathering of leveraging over consuming. So let's just take a breath and recap the incredible architectural blueprint this source has laid out for us today.
It's been a lot to cover.
It has. We started by looking in the rearview mirror, acknowledging the legacy of the FAANG era, right? The companies that perfected the consumer application layer.
The old map.
Exactly. But then we mapped out a massive migration of capital and focus. We looked at how the smartest minds in tech are pivoting sharply away from consumer products and diving incredibly deep into infrastructure.
Yep, moving down the stack. We charted the new technology stack from the ground up, really.
We did.
We looked at Nvidia providing the parallel processing hardware bedrock, and SpaceX laying down the orbital transport layer for true global connectivity.
Which was a surprise, but it makes so much sense.
It really does. And then we examined Anthropic and OpenAI and how they're shifting the paradigm from simple chatbots to foundational cognitive APIs. And finally, Meta and Google embedding these models into the open source ecosystem and basically the ambient digital environment.
They all share a singular mission, really, pouring the foundational concrete for the future. And I think most importantly, we explored the crucial difference between merely consuming these new tools and actually leveraging them to build new systems.
The light bulb versus the washing machine.
Yes. So if you are listening to this right now, whether you are prepping for a Q3 strategy meeting, trying to lead a creative team through a massive workflow transition, or you are just an insanely curious person trying to understand where the global economy is actually heading, the mandate from this text is crystal clear.
It's unavoidable.
It is. Look past the flashy consumer interfaces. Look at the underlying infrastructure and figure out how to implement it in your own day-to-day operations to create more capacity. The future belongs entirely to the builders.
And that journey inevitably requires moving from isolation into execution, which is exactly why operators are seeking out physical, high-signal environments like the UgenticAI Summit.
Getting offline to master the online.
Exactly. It is about bringing that high-level theory down to actionable, everyday business reality.
Well, to wrap this deep dive up, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought based on our source material today.
I love these.
The text mentions that this new infrastructure could support entirely new industries. Now think about the weight of that phrase. Not just faster versions of what we have now, but industries that conceptually do not even currently exist.
Right, things we can't even picture yet.
Exactly. If the foundational layers of cognitive reasoning APIs and orbital space connectivity are being poured right this very second, what is an industry that sounds like pure, unadulterated science fiction today, but will feel completely normal, almost boring to you in 10 years because of the tracks these titans are laying down right now?
It's wild to think about.
Keep your eyes on the builders. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.